Welcome back to another episode of Missionary Moneymaker. I'm your host, Carl Winn, and I'm so glad that you're with me today. And today, we're going to continue to move forward on growing as Christians, growing as missionaries in the marketplace. And I believe that if you're a Christian and you're working in the marketplace, it is God's calling on you to be there, to be the ambassador of Christ, no matter what your industry may be in. God has you there. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about leadership lessons from Abraham Lincoln. And the reason why we're looking at this is because my goal with this podcast is to help every Christian that's listening to this is to increase their impact, their income, and their influence while they're in the marketplace. And influence is important. John C. Maxwell, leadership expert, he says this. He says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And as Christian, we should want to influence people to be reconciled to God. So if you go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5, starting in verse 18 through 21, we will see that God has given us this ministry of reconciliation where we're calling people to be reconciled to God. And as Christians in the marketplace, we got to ask ourselves, what does this look like for me to influence people in the marketplace? How do we create value? How do we influence other people to create that value for our clients, our team, our vendors, our community, our city, our country, and our world? And that is my goal. No matter where you are, no matter where you live, my goal is to help you create value for your clients, your team, your vendors, your community, your city, your country, and your world. Our goal is to influence other people. I started to read and listen to anything that I had that I could get my hands on when it came to leadership. And in reading and listening to leadership, I ran across John Wooden. Now, if you have listened to any of my episodes lately, I talked about John Wooden. He is UCLA legendary basketball coach. Great man of God. He's gone with the Lord right now, but he led his team to many championships, many awards. They broke under his leadership. And one of the things that he talked about as I was learning from him, his leadership, is that he learned from Abraham Lincoln. He admired Abraham Lincoln's leadership. We're going to learn leadership lessons from Abraham Lincoln. And as I began to dive into Lincoln's leadership, one thing that I appreciate is that Lincoln was leading during one of our nation's most tumultuous time, the Civil War. It was a hard time to lead. The country was divided. The country was warring against itself. And Abraham Lincoln took the reins of leadership during this time to lead our country back to unity. And it was not an easy task. So Donald T. Phillips, in his book, Lincoln on Leadership, introduces Abe with these words. He says, yet there is one person who rises above them all, one who is consistently ranked as the greatest president, one who is viewed as the greatest leader this nation has ever known or will know, and one who, although dead for more than 125 years, still inspires and moves people from all walks of life, from all around the globe. That person is Abraham Lincoln. And so that is Abraham Lincoln in a nutshell. So we're going to learn leadership lessons from Abraham Lincoln. Point one, be accessible. One thing that Abraham Lincoln displayed in terms of leadership is that he was accessible. In fact, he was so accessible that he did not spend many times in the White House. He was out of the White House more than he was in the White House. Abraham Lincoln was among the people. He was amongst the soldiers during war. He was on the battlefield. He was listening in. He was accessible. He did not he did not become president to sit in the White House. He became president to influence our nation and to unite us back together so that we can move forward as one of the world's greatest nation. That was his goal. And to do that, Abraham Lincoln was accessible. Accessible means this. It means that he was easy to approach. In fact, you can say Abraham Lincoln, he had an open door policy. I know for his security officers, he always left his door open to everybody. He wanted to see people. He wanted to talk to people. He wanted to meet people. It was said that he walked the streets of Washington from one government building to the next. He was accessible and he talked to people. That was Lincoln. He was accessible. He was easy to approach. He was easy to reach. He was easy to speak with. And so if we're going to grow as leaders, if we're going to influence people well, then we need to be accessible. We need to be like Lincoln. We need to be among the people. So I have, over the last year, I have implemented this particular principle of be accessible. I work on a college campus with a campus ministry, influence college students, and my goal is to be with them. So I go where they are. And because I go where they are, it makes me approachable. Although that I'm 20 plus years older than these students, because I'm able to influence them because I'm going amongst them. I'm learning their language. I'm sitting among them. I'm becoming one with them. I think that's what Jesus would say. He says, you're in the world, but not of it. What does that mean? Is that you're in the world, you're going and walking among the world, but you just don't take on the world's practices. And so as I enter the college campus, I'm accessible. I'm going amongst the people. I'm reachable. Because I'm reachable, people trust me. They come to me. So just on yesterday, a young man called me up, saying, "Hey Carl, I want to come talk to you about Christ and some spiritual things." And so what I did, I invited him to my house. In fact, that's one of the reasons why me and my family, we moved closer to the university so that we can have a greater impact on the students that we believe God has called us to influence. And so one of the things that he shared with me while we were talking, he said, "Carl, I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're accessible. That's one thing that I really appreciate about you is that you are always accessible." And so if we're going to influence our clients, our team, our vendors, our community, our city, our country, our world, then we need to be accessible. Get out of your office. Go amongst the people. Right? Jesus was a perfect example. The scripture tells us in Philippians chapter 2 is that although he was God, he took on human flesh and he came amongst us and we beheld his glory. So Jesus, although he is God, he came to influence us to live among us to God. So be accessible. Number two is be amiable. And that word is spelled Amiable, be amiable. And what that means is you want to be sociable. You want to be pleasant. You want to be good nature. And simply, you want to be friendly. Ask yourself that question. Do my coworkers, do my team, do my vendors, do my community see me as a friendly person? So my children, my wife, they know that I'm a friendly person. In fact, they say, I know everybody. Yesterday, we went to the store, and as we were exiting the store, there comes a friend of mine who I knew. And my children were like, Daddy, you know everybody. They asked me, Daddy, how do you know him? And I just told them, like, I know him from life and work because I'm friendly. I approach people. I talk to people. I get to know people. I'm always following up with people. I'm always talking with people. I'm always communicating with people, building that relationship, cultivating relationships, being friendly, serving people. So if we're going to influence people, we need to be friendly. That's who Abraham Lincoln was. He was a friendly person. He also knew how to leverage conversation to influence people. He understood the psychology of people. And he couldn't be a mean and standoffish person if he was going to influence a nation and bring them together amid the hostility that was in our nation. He needed to be friendly. And again, it goes back to the first point. In him being friendly, he had an open door policy. He was accessible to people. He genuinely liked people. He genuinely wanted to hear people, to know people, and have a conversation with people. In fact, what people said is that when they left his presence, most people, they left motivated because he always had a good word to give them. He always was motivating them, spurring them on. His disposition was positive. He was not a downhearted person. He wasn't a person that was always upset and the world was against him. But he was motivated. He was friendly. He was upbeat, ready to take on the world. So ask yourself that question. Am I friendly? Do my family, do my friends, do my coworkers, do my clients know that I'm a friendly person? Do they like talking to you? I mean, that's one of the ways to gauge it is that do people like talking to you? Because if people don't like talking to you, maybe you're not friendly. And let me say this is that we can all grow to be friendly. Proverbs 18:24 says this: a person who wants friends must show himself friendly. So this is something that we can grow in. So you may not be accessible at this moment, and you may not be amiable at this moment, but you can grow. Remember, it's progress over perfection. So you can grow into being friendly. You can grow into being accessible. You can grow into being amiable. Because guess what? Just as Lincoln, he had to grow into this. He was not born like this. I wasn't born like this, but this is something that we can grow in. It is a practice, it is a principle that we can implement into our lives and say, I want to be better at this. So that is the second point. If we're going to influence people well, then we need to be amiable, be friendly. And the last point that we're going to look at is that we need to be actionable. So it was said about Abraham Lincoln is that he was a man of action. He was a man of data. he craved data. But but that makes sense. All leaders should crave data so that we can make the best decisions. You got to remember that the decisions that Abraham Lincoln had to make. Our nation was in a war. And so he had to make immediate split second decisions. Sometimes it's not split second, but he needed to make important decisions that was going to affect the entire world. And so he had to have the right information in order for him to make the decision. Now, nobody could make the decision for him, but he relied on other people to give him the data that he needed to make decisions. When he had the right information, he made the decision. In fact, as I was reading, it says that Abraham Lincoln, he was at the War Department more than he was in the White House, listening, looking for these telegrams to come in so that he can make the right decision. He can be the first one getting this information so that he can also go ahead and make the decision. He wanted his team to be able to make a quick decision as well. So he was right there in the War Department listening in so that he can get the right data so that he can make the right decision. So as leaders, if we're going to influence people well, we need to be actionable. And in order to be actionable, we got to have the right information. So I've created this framework around data, DATA, data. It means discovering, advancing truth actively. That's how I look at data. How can I get the right information so that I can make the right decisions? And so that's what Lincoln did. He leveraged data to make decision. And that's what actionable is. It means being ready to go. It means being ready to put into action. Are you ready? We need to be ready as leaders to make decisions, whether that's in our home, whether it's in our businesses. We need to be ready to make decisions. And in order to do that, we need to get the right data. Let's lean on our team. Let's lean on the right information to make the right decision, because nothing gets done without action. And so I like that about Lincoln. He was actionable. He was ready for action. In fact, he was so ready for action, he could be seen on the battle lines and on the battlegrounds, having conversation with soldiers, getting information firsthand. So I want to encourage you, go get the information firsthand if necessary. Lean on your team, but also go get the information firsthand. So no matter what your role is, remember, you are a leader. You are influencing someone as a Christian. Wherever you are, you have influence. So you want to leverage your influence. You want to leverage your leadership to glorify God and create value for other people. So with that being said, this is the end of this episode. I want to challenge you to take one thing that I've said in this episode and go implement it into your leadership. Remember, it's all about starting now. It's all about putting something into action right now, today. I've given you some information. Now it's time for you to implement it, right? Information should lead to implementation. So go take one thing that you heard today and go upgrade your leadership. If you like this episode, go ahead and like it, share it, and leave a comment. I read all of your comments. So no matter where you listen to, go ahead and drop me a comment and I'll be in touch with you. God bless you. God keep you and keep leading well.